Good evening. Welcome to Lumina Theatre Group's performance reading. Tonight, we present the double bill of Noel Coward's Still Life and Terence Rattigan's Harlequinade. The plays will last for a total of 90 minutes with one 5-minute intermission. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's performance.
I'm out Marie biscuits, Mrs. Baggett. I could do with some more Nestle's plain chocolate.
Let me see. Oh. Be quiet, Beryl. And as for you, Stanley, don't you be saucy. You were saucy when you started to work here, and you've been getting saucier and saucier ever since. Here you are. Go on now.
Righto.
And see here, Beryl Waters, I'll trouble you to remember your own duty.
I didn't do anything.
Exactly. You just stand there giggling. Read out that list.
Yes, Mrs. Baggett.
Where is it?
I put it on your desk.
Where's the cloth?
Here, Mrs. Baggett.
Well, go and clean off number 3. I can see the crumbs on it from here.
Here's some rock cakes.
Never you mind about them rock cakes. Just you do as you're told and don't argue.
Hello.
Quite a stranger, aren't you?
I couldn't get in yesterday.
More tickets to inspect than usual? I wonder what had happened to you.
I don't know what you're so huffy about, but whatever it is, I'm very sorry.
Well, you misunderstand me. I'm not.
A cup of tea, please.
Certainly. Cake or pastry?
No, thank you.
Threepence.
Thank you.
Where's the boat train?
What about my other cup? I shall have to be moving. The 5:43 will be in a minute.
You're neglecting your duty, you know. That's what you're doing.
A bit of relaxation never did anybody any harm.
Please, could you give me a glass of water? I've got something in my eye and I want to bathe it.
Would you like me to have a look?
Oh, please don't trouble. I think the water will do it.
Here.
Coal dust, I expect.
A man I knew lost the sight of one eye through getting a bit of grit in it.
Oh, painful thing, very painful.
Is that
Oh.
better?
I'm afraid not. Oh,
Can I help you?
no, please. It's only something in my eye.
Try pulling down your eyelid as far as it'll go.
And then blowing your nose.
Please, let me look. I happen to be a doctor.
Oh, well. Oh. It's only something in my eye. It's very kind of you.
Turn round to the light, please. Now, look up. Now look down. I can see it. Keep still. There.
Oh, dear. Oh, what a relief. It was agonizing.
Looks like a bit of grit.
Oh, it was when the express went through. Thank you very much. Indeed.
Not at all.
There we go. I must run. See you later.
How lucky for me that you happened to be here.
Anybody could have done it.
Never mind, you did it, and I'm most grateful. There's my train. Goodbye.
It's all very fine, I said, expecting me to do this, that, and the other, but what do I get out of it? You can't expect me to be cook, housekeeper, and char all rolled into one during the day, and a loving wife in the evening, just because you feel like it. Oh dear, no. There are just as good fish in the sea, I said, as ever came out of it, and I packed my boxes there and then, and I left him.
Didn't you ever go back?
Never. I went to my sister's place at Folkestone for a bit, and then I went in with a friend of mine, and we opened a tea shop in Hythe.
And what happened to him?
Dead as a doornail inside 3 years.
Well, I never.
Tea or lemonade?
Tea, I think. It's more refreshing, really.
2 teas, please.
Cake or pastry?
Cake or pastry?
No, thank you.
Are those bath buns fresh?
Certainly. They were made this morning.
2, please.
That'll be 8pence.
Thank you. You must eat one of these fresh this morning.
I'm going over my accounts, Beryl. Let me know when Albert comes in.
Yes, Mrs. Baggett.
They do look good, I must say.
One of my earliest passions. I've never outgrown it.
Do you like milk in your tea?
Yes, don't you?
Yes, fortunately.
Station refreshments are generally a wee bit arbitrary, you know.
I wasn't grumbling.
Do you ever grumble? Are you ever sullen and cross and bad-tempered?
Of course I am. At least not sudden exactly, but sometimes I get into rages.
I can't visualize you in a rage.
Do you feel guilty at all? I do.
Guilty?
You ought to more than me, really. You neglected your work this afternoon.
I worked this morning. A little relaxation never did anyone any harm. Why should either of us feel guilty?
I don't know. I sort of instinct, as though we were letting something happen that ought not happen.
How awfully nice you are.
When I was a child in Cornwall, we lived in Cornwall, you know. May, that's my sister, and I used to climb out of the bedroom window on summer nights and go down to the cove and bathe. It was dreadfully cold, but we felt very adventurous. I never dared to do it by myself, but sharing that danger made it all right. That's how I feel now, really.
Have a bun. It's awfully bad for you.
You're laughing at me.
Yes, a little, but I'm laughing at myself too.
Why?
For feeling a small pang when you said about being guilty.
There, you are, you see?
We haven't done anything wrong.
Of course we haven't.
Accidental meeting, then another accidental meeting, then a little lunch, then the movies. What could be more ordinary, more natural?
We're adults, after all.
I never see myself as an adult, do you?
Yes, I do. I'm a respectable married woman with a husband and a home and 3 children.
But there must be a part of you deep down inside that still wants to climb out of the window, that still longs to splash about a bit in the dangerous sea.
Perhaps none of us ever grow up entirely.
How awfully nice you are.
You said that before.
I thought perhaps you hadn't heard.
I heard all right.
I'm respectable too, you know. I have a home and a wife and children and responsibilities. I also have a lot of work and a lot of ideals all mixed up in it.
What's she like?
Madeline?
Yes.
Small, dark, rather delicate.
How funny. I should have thought she'd be fair.
And your husband, what's he like?
Medium height, brown hair, kindly, unemotional and not delicate at all.
You said that proudly.
Did I?
What's the matter?
The matter? What could be the matter?
You suddenly went away.
I thought perhaps we were being rather silly.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. We're such complete strangers, really.
It's one thing to close a window, but quite another to slam it down on my fingers.
I'm sorry.
Please, come back again.
Is tea bad for one? Worse than coffee, I mean.
If this is a professional interview, my fee is a guinea.
It's nearly time for your train.
I hate to think of it, chugging along, interrupting our tea party.
I really am sorry now.
What for?
For being disagreeable.
I don't think you could be disagreeable.
You said something just now about your work and ideals and being mixed up with it. What ideals?
Surely you're not encouraging me to talk shop.
Do you come here every Thursday?
Yes, I come from Shirley and spend a day at the hospital. You see, I have a special interest.
What is it?
Preventive medicine.
Oh, I see.
Most good doctors, especially when they're young, have private dreams. That's the best part of them sometimes, though. Those get over-professionalized and strangulated. And am I boring you?
No, you're not boring me.
In the hospital here, there are splendid opportunities for observing cures and making notes because of the coal mines.
You suddenly look much younger.
Do I?
Almost like a little boy.
What made you say that?
I don't know. Yes, I do.
Tell me.
Oh, no, I couldn't really. There's your train.
Yes.
You mustn't miss it.
No.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
It's been so very nice. I've enjoyed my afternoon enormously.
I'm so glad. So have I. Shall I see you again?
It's on the other platform, isn't it? You'll have to run. Don't worry about me. Mine's due in a few minutes.
Shall I see you again?
Of course. Perhaps you could come over to Ketchworth one Sunday. It's rather far, I know, but we should be delighted to see you.
Please. Please.
What is it?
Next Thursday, the same time.
No, I can't possibly.
Please. I ask you most humbly.
You'll miss your train.
All right.
Run.
Goodbye.
I'll be there.
Thank you, my dear.
Oh, Albert Godby, how dare you?
I couldn't resist it.
Oh, trouble you to keep your hands to yourself.
You're blushing. You look wonderful when you're angry, like an avenging angel.
If you avenging angel coming here taking liberties.
I didn't think after what you said last Monday you'd object to a friendly little slap.
Never mind about last Monday. I'm on duty now. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
It's just high spirits. Don't be mad at me.
High spirits indeed.
Picture you upon my knee, and tea for two, and two for tea.
Here, take your tea and be quiet.
Give us a kiss.
Well, no such thing.
Just a quick one across the counter.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
2 teas, please.
Cake or pastry?
No, thank you. Just the tea.
In nice weather.
Very nice.
Very bit of a nip in the air, though.
I didn't mean to be unkind.
It doesn't matter.
We can't part like this.
I think it would be better if we did.
You don't really mean that.
I'm trying to mean it. I'm trying with all my strength.
Oh, my dearest dear.
Don't, please don't.
Is it all right about tonight, is it?
Think about it.
It's Claudette Colbert, you know.
Fat chance I should have enjoying Claudette Colbert with you hissing in my ear all the time.
I'll be as good as gold.
It's no use running away from the truth, darling. We're lovers, aren't we? If it happens or it doesn't, we're lovers in our hearts.
Can't you see how wrong it is? How dreadfully wrong.
I can see what's true, whether it's right or wrong.
Mr. Saunders wants you, Mr. Godby.
What for?
I don't know.
Let it go, Albert. You know what he is.
He's a bloody fool, I know, if that's what you mean.
There's no chance of Stephen getting back until late. Nobody need ever know.
It's so furtive to love like that, so cheap. Much better not to love at all.
It's not too late to love at all. Be brave. We're both in the same boat. Let's be generous to each other.
What is there brave in it? Sneaking away to someone else's house, loving in secret with the horror of being found out, hanging over us all the time. I would be far braver to say goodbye and never see each other again.
Could you be as brave as that? I know I couldn't.
Couldn't you? It's so difficult, so strange. I'm lost.
Don't say that, darling.
Loving you is hard for me. It makes me a stranger in my own house. Familiar things, ordinary things that I've known for years look odd to me, as though they belong to someone else. I passed the house the other day without noticing and had to turn back. And then I went in and it seemed to draw away from me. My whole life seems to be drawing away from me. And I don't know what to do.
Oh, darling.
Is it the same with you? Or is it easier for men?
I don't know.
Please, dear, don't look unhappy. I'm not grumbling. Really, I'm not.
I don't suppose being in love has ever been easy for anybody.
You've only got a minute. I didn't mean to be depressing.
It isn't any easier for me, darling. Honestly, it isn't.
I know. I only wanted to be assuring.
Don't pass the house again. Don't let it snub you.
All right. There's your train.
I'm going to miss it.
Please go.
No.
I wish I could think clearly. I wish I could really know what to do.
Do you trust me?
Yes, I trust you, but we must be hurt. Must we be hurt by it?
Yes, when the time comes.
Very well.
I'm going now. Back to Stephen's flat. I'll wait for you. If you don't come, I shall know only that you weren't quite ready, that you needed a little longer to find your own dear heart. This is the address.
There's the 543.
We ought to have another Huntley and Palmer's to put in the middle, really.
There are some more on the shelf.
Hello.
You made me jump.
You walking home?
Maybe.
Do you want me to wait?
Got to go back.
Oh, why?
Mother will be waiting up.
Oh, no, can't you say you've been kept late?
I'd said that last time.
Say it again. Say there's been a rash on.
Don't be so silly. Mother's not that much of a fool.
Please, sport barrel. I mean, shut down 5 minutes early and say you was kept 10 minutes late. That gives us a quarter of an hour.
What happens if Mrs. Baggett comes back?
She won't. She's been having a bit of a slap and a tickle with our Albert.
Stan, you are awful.
We'll wait for you in the yard.
Oh, all right.
I'd like a glass of brandy, please.
We're just closing.
I see you are, but you're not quite closed yet, are you?
3-star.
Yes, that'll do.
Attendance, please.
Here, and have your piece of paper and an envelope.
I'm afraid you'll have to get those at the bookstore.
The bookstall's shut, please. It's very important. I should be so much obliged.
Oh, all right. Wait a minute.
Thank you so much.
We close in a few minutes, you know.
Yes, I know.
Thank God. Oh, darling,
Please, go away. Please don't say anything.
I can't let you go like this.
You must. It'll be better. Really, it will.
You're being dreadfully cruel.
I feel so utterly degraded.
It was just a beastly accident that he came back early. He doesn't know who you are. He never even saw you.
I listened to your voices in the sitting room. I crept out and down the stairs feeling like a prostitute.
Don't, darling. Don't talk like that, please.
I suppose he laughed, didn't he? After he got over being annoyed, I suppose you spoke of me together as men of the world.
We didn't speak of you.
Why didn't you tell him the truth? Why didn't you say who I was and that we were shameful secret lovers using his flat like a bad house because we had nowhere else to go and we were afraid of being found out?
Stop it, Laura. Pull yourself together.
It's true. Don't you see it's true?
It's nothing of the sort. I know you feel horrible, and I'm deeply, desperately sorry. I feel horrible too. But this unfortunate, damnable accident, it was just bad luck. It couldn't affect us, really. You and me, we know the truth. We know we really love each other. That's all that matters.
It isn't all that matters. Other things matter too. Self-respect matters and decency. I can't go on any longer.
Could you really say goodbye? Not see me anymore?
Yes, if you help me.
I can't look at you now because I know something. I know that this is the beginning of the end. Not the end of my loving you, but the end of our being together. But not quite yet, darling. Please, not quite yet.
Very well. Not quite yet.
So, let's prepare ourselves. A sudden break now, however brave and admirable, would be too cruel. We can't do such violence to our hearts and minds.
Very well.
I'm afraid it's closing time.
Oh, is it?
I shall have to lock up.
This lady is catching the 10:10. She's not feeling very well, and it's very cold on the platform.
The waiting room is open.
Look here, I'd be very much obliged if you'd let us stay here for another few minutes.
I'm sorry, it's against the rules.
Please, please, come back to lock up when the train comes in. Just for a few minutes, please.
You won't touch anything, will you?
Not a thing.
Oh, all right.
Thank you very much.
Just a few minutes.
Now then, I want you to promise me something.
What is it?
Promise me that however unhappy you are and however much you think things over, that you'll meet me next Thursday, as usual.
Not at the flat.
No, be at the Picture House Cafe at the same time. I'll hire a car. We'll drive out to the country.
All right. I promise.
We've got to talk. I've got to explain.
About going away?
Yes.
Where are you going? Where can you go? You can't give up your practice.
I've had a job offered me. I wasn't going to tell you. I wasn't going to take it, but I must. I know now it's the only way out.
Where?
A long way away. Johannesburg.
Oh, God.
My brother's out there. They're opening a new hospital. They want me at it. It's a fine opportunity, really.
When will you go?
In about 2 months' time.
It's quite near, isn't it?
Do you want me to stay? Do you want me to turn down the offer?
Oh, don't be foolish, Alec.
I'll do whatever you say.
That's unkind of you, my darling.
Oh, Laura, please don't. Please.
I'll be all right. Leave me alone a minute.
I love you. I love you.
I know.
We knew we'd get hurt.
I'm being very stupid.
Here.
Thank you. There's my train.
I'll see you onto the train.
No, please stay here.
All right.
Good night, darling.
Good night. The last train for Shirley hasn't gone yet, has it?
I couldn't say, I'm sure.
I'll wait in the waiting room. Thank you very much.
I must lock up now.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
1 tea, please. 2 lumps of sugar and a bath bun. And make it snappy.
Oh, what's the matter with you?
Beryl, up it.
Oh, don't you go ordering Beryl about. You haven't any right to.
You heard me, Beryl. Up it.
I never.
Go into the back room a minute, Beryl.
Mrs. Baggett.
Now then, Albert, you behave. We don't want the whole station laughing at us.
What's there to laugh at?
Here's your tea.
How do you feel?
Don't talk so soft. How should I feel?
I only wondered.
Look out. Somebody's coming in.
It's only Romeo and Juliet.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Same as usual.
Yes, please.
Quite springy out, isn't it?
Yes, quite.
Go on, Albert. Finish up your tea and get back to the gate.
All right. See you later.
Are you all right, darling?
Yes, I'm all right.
I wish I could think of something to say.
It doesn't matter. Not saying anything, I mean.
I'll miss my train and wait to see you onto yours.
No, please don't. I'll come over to your platform with you. I'd rather.
Very well.
Do you think we shall ever see each other again?
I don't know. Not for years, anyway.
The children will all be grown up. I wonder if they'll ever meet and know each other.
Couldn't I write to you just once in a while?
No, please not. We promised we wouldn't.
Please know this. Please know that you'll be with me for ages and ages yet, far away into the future. Time will wear down the agony of not seeing you. Bit by bit, the pain will go. But loving you and the memory of you won't ever go. Please
I know it.
know that. It's easier for me than for you. I do realize that, really I do. I at least will have different sights to look at. The new work to do. You have to go on among familiar things. My heart aches for you so.
I'll be all right.
I love you with all my heart and soul.
Yes, I know. I love you too.
Goodbye, my dearest love.
Goodbye.
We've still got a few minutes.
Thank God.
Laura, what a lovely surprise!
Oh, Dolly.
My dear, I've been shopping till I'm dropping. That sounds like a song, doesn't it? My feet are nearly falling off and my throat's parched. I thought of having tea and spindles, but I was terrified of missing the train. I'm always missing trains and being late for meals, and Bob gets disagreeable for days at a time. And oh dear,
This is Dr. Harvey.
How do you? Would you be a perfect dear and get me a cup of tea? I don't think I could drag my poor old bones as far as the counter, and I must get some chocolates for Tony too, but I can do that afterwards. Here's sixpence.
No, please.
My dear, what a nice-looking young man. Who on earth is he? Really, you are quite a dark horse. I shall telephone Fred in the morning and make mischief. This is a bit of luck. I haven't seen you for ages. And I've been meaning to pop in, but Tony had measles, you know, and I had that awful fuss about Phyllis, the maid, but of course you don't know. She left me, suddenly up and went, my dear, without even an hour's warning, let alone a month's notice.
Oh, how dreadful.
Mind you, I never cared for her much, but still Tony did. Tony adored her, but never mind. I'll tell you all about that on the train. Thank you so very much. I've certainly put enough milk in it, but still it's wet, and that's all one can really ask for in a refreshment room. Oh dear, no sugar.
It's in the spoon.
Oh, of course. What a fool I am. Laura, you look frightfully well. I do wish I'd known you were coming in today. We could have come together and lunched and had a good gossip. I loathe the shopping by myself anyway.
There's your train.
Yes, I know.
Aren't you coming with us?
No, I go in the opposite direction. My practice is in Shirley.
How interesting. What sort of a doctor are you? I mean, are you a specialist at anything, or are you just a sort of family doctor?
I'm a general practitioner at the moment.
Dr. Harvey is going out to Africa next week.
Oh, my dear, how thrilling. Are you going to operate on the Zulus or something?
I must go.
Yes, you must.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. He'll have to run. He's got to get right over to the other platform. How did you meet him?
I got something in my eye the other day, and he helped me get it out.
Oh, my dear, how very romantic. I'm always getting things in my eye, and nobody the least bit attractive has ever paid the faintest attention, which reminds me. You know about Harry and Lucy Jenner, don't you?
No. What about them?
My dear, they're going to get a divorce. At least, I believe they're getting a conjugal separation, or whatever it is to begin with, and the divorce later on. It seems that there's an awful Mrs. something or other in London that he's been carrying on with for ages. You know how he's always having to go on business. Well, apparently Lucy's sister saw them, Harry and this woman, in the Tate Gallery of all places, and she wrote to Lucy, and then gradually the whole thing came out. Oh. Is that our train? Can you tell me, is that the Ketchworth train?
No, it's the express.
The boat train.
Oh, yes, that doesn't stop, does it? Express trains are Tony's passion in life. He knows them all by name, where they start from, where they go to, and how long they take to get there. Oh, dear. I mustn't forget his chocolate. I want some chocolate, please.
Milk or plain?
Plain, I think. Oh no, perhaps milk would be nicer. Have you anything with nuts in it?
Nestle's nut milk? Shilling or sixpence?
Give me one plain and one nut milk. Oh, where is she?
Oh, I never noticed her go.
My dear, I couldn't think where you disappeared to.
I just wanted to see the express go through.
Oh, what on earth's the matter? Or do you feel ill?
I feel a little sick.
Have you any brandy?
I'm afraid it's out of hours.
Surely, if someone's feeling ill.
I'm all right, really. There's your train.
Just a sip of brandy will buck you up, please.
Oh, very well.
How much?
10p, please.
There. Here you are, dear.
Oh, thank you.
In No Coward's Still Life, the part of Laura was played by Dre Weeks, Alec by Keith Anderson, Myrtle by Kelly Newman O'Connor, Albert by Ian Four, Beryl by Grace Berber White, Stanley by Langston Cotman, and Dolly Messenger by Liz Porter. The production was edited by Liz Porter. There will now be a 5-minute intermission.
your daughter on the stage, Mrs. Worthington. Don't put your daughter on the stage.
And now, Harlequinade.
And the struggle's pretty tough. And admitting the fact she's burning to act, that isn't quite enough.
Just the scars that never felt to wound. What soft white light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Oh, it is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Ah, me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name. Or if thou wilt not be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this? Oh.
'Tis but thy name that is mine enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What is Montague? Darling, are you going to do that tonight?
A what?
That little jump.
Well, yes, I thought I would. Why, does it bother you?
No, darling, just as long as I know, that's all.
Oh, sorry, darling. That's quite all right. Let's go back. Prompt?
'Tis but thy name.
No. Before that, I want to give Mr. Gosport the cue for his little jump.
What little jump, Miss Selby?
The little jump he does onto that stool.
Mr. Gosport doesn't do a little jump, Miss Selby.
Yes, he does do a little jump. He's just done a little jump.
Well, he's never done a little jump before.
I know he's never done a little jump before, but he's doing a little jump now. He's just put the little jump in.
Look, I don't think I'll do the little jump after all.
Yes, you shall, my darling. You shall do the little jump. It looked very charming, very youthful. When Mr. Gosport says, shall I speak at this? He does a little jump onto a stool. Now, what's my line before that?
And I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Or, if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak at this?
'Tis but thy name that is mine enemy. Thou art thyself, though not a Montague. What is Montague? I'm sorry, darling.
Does it look awfully silly? I mean, I won't do it then.
No, you must do it. Come on, let's try again.
No, I won't do it if it's as funny as all that. I only thought it might help the boyishness of the line, that's all.
It does, very boyish. Doesn't it look boyish, Johnny?
Very boyish, Miss Selby.
I was only laughing at your suddenly putting anything like that after our having done this play so many hundreds of times together and never a little jump in 15 years until now, just before a first night.
All right. I mean, let's forget the whole thing. I'll say the line, standing still as at the Rock of Ages and looking about twice as old. Let's go on.
It's silly to say that, Arthur. If you feel you're too old for the part, you'll only get a complex.
I am much too old for the part. I'm not 17.
Well, it comes to that, darling. I'm not 13, but I shan't let that worry me tonight. It's all up here. It's not a question of doing little jumps.
I'm not doing any little jump. Well, that's dead. Once and for all. Now, for God's sake, let's go on.
Besides, it's silly if you think that you don't look young. That wig is very, very becoming. Auntie Maud, are you in front, dear?
I've just come from in front, dear. What is it?
How do you think Arthur looked?
Oh, far too old.
Oh, too much light on him?
Far too much.
What about Edna, Auntie Maud? How does she look?
Far too old, too.
Too much light on her, too?
Yes, far too much.
I don't think Auntie Maud sees very well. Do you, Auntie Maud, dear?
Yes, I do. I see very well. I had my specs on, and I was right at the back, and you both looked far too old.
Jack, where's the stage manager?
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
The lighting of the scene has gone mad. This isn't our plot. There's far too much light. What's gone wrong with it?
I think the trouble is they've crept in numbers 2 and 3 too early. Will, check your plot, please. Number 2 and 3 spots should be down to a quarter instead of full. And you've got your floats too high. You're burning Mr. Gosport up.
What about me? I've got an enormous searchlight on me from somewhere out there.
That's front of house, Miss Selby. It's in the plot.
Well, take it out.
No, you can't. We've got to have some light for this scene. We can't have it played as just as like our two voices coming out of pitch darkness, much as we both might like to.
Well, I don't see why you should skulk about in romantic moonlight while I'm on my balcony being burnt to a cinder by the Eddystone Lighthouse.
Let me see that plot.
Ah, as you've stopped, dear, I thought you wouldn't mind if I gave you 1 or 2 tiny little hints about this scene. It's the first time I've seen it from the front. You don't mind an old lady's interference, do you, dear?
No, of course not, Auntie Maud. You know how delighted I always am to hear your tiny hints.
Take it right down, Will. That's it.
Now, when I played Juliet, I used to rest my hand on my cheek like this, using just the very tips of my fingers. Now, as you do it, you look just a little like Rodin's thinker.
Oh.
That's too low. Now bring it up a bit.
Bring it up, Will.
Well, you know, Auntie Maud, dear, tastes have changed a little since you played Juliet with Arthur's father.
Take it down. That's too high.
Too high, Will.
Faith, we may put our pipes and be gone.
What?
Oh, am I wrong? I heard my cue, so I came on.
Yes, we'll kindly go off.
Yes, still, you gave me my cue, you know. You can't say you didn't.
What is your cue?
Well, it's really a pause when everyone stops speaking.
My dear Mr.
Chudley. George Chudley.
My dear Mr. Chudley, every time there's a pause in the play, you're going to come onto the stage and speak their lines. It's going to make the plot rather difficult to follow.
I meant that's just my cue to come on. My real cue is, hi, Will.
Move them no more by crossing their high will. He's quite right, Mr. Gosport. That is your cue, but your line doesn't come until the next act. You ought to have been paying more attention.
Well, that's all very well, but you said it, you know. I heard it quite distinctly. So, of course, I thought you'd cut a bit out, and so I counted 5 and on I came.
Get off the stage, you silly old man.
Here, don't you dare talk to me like that, young chap. I acted with your father.
I don't care if you acted with Garrick's father. Get off the stage.
You'd better be careful, young fella, talking to people like that. It's not right.
You say you acted with my brother?
That's right. In this play I was too. I played Peter.
Oh, yes, I remember now. I remember you well. You were just as incompetent then as you are now.
That's enough from you, you old bag.
There you are. That shows exactly why you've never got on in the theater. If you have a line like that to say, you don't mouth it and throw it away. You say it right out. It's a glorious word. Just say bag. Form the word with your lips like that. Bag. Bag. Bag.
All right, Auntie Maud, all right. Look, my dear chap, just go to the wings. There's a good fellow. And wait for your scene, which doesn't come for hours yet, while we get on with our work.
I certainly won't. I've been insulted, and I'm leaving.
Well, nonsense. You can't leave.
Oh, yes, I can. I know my rights. What's more, I'm not just leaving, I'm retiring. I'm 67, and I've been 50 years on the stage come April.
Oh, my dear Mr. You really mustn't take on like this just because.
I've never been a good actor. And what's more, I never liked the life. And I never needed the money. Why, I've gone on all these years mucking about with never more than a line or two to say. Sharing dress rooms with chaps I detest is more than I can fathom. Well, I'm finished with it all now anyway. Finished with it for good. And if you don't know how happy that makes me feel, goodbye all.
Can't even make an exit properly.
Must have a film job.
All right. One of the supers can do the pipes line. Break for an hour for tea, but don't strike this set. I want to rehearse the farewell scene before the show.
Yes, Mr. Gosport. Break for an hour for tea. Back at 5:30, please. Curtain up at 7:30.
Then I'll rehearse the duel.
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
And could I see those girls for the Winter's Tale?
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
And then at this time, I can rehearse the jig.
Yes, Mr. Gosport. Yeah.
Oh, Jack, send someone out for some sandwiches for me and a bottle of Guinness, would you?
Oh, yes, Dame Maud.
Better make that a couple of bottles. It's so good for my back.
Yes, Dame Maud.
Goodbye, children. I'm sure from what I've seen, it's going to be splendid.
Sandwich, dear?
No, thank you, darling. I'll have a proper tea for us in our room, my darling.
Thank you, darling.
Don't worry, my precious. That wig is a dream, and you can do your little jump if you want to.
No, thank you, darling. No, I'm not too old for this part, am I?
Of course not, my angel. Or if you are, then so am I.
But you're 3 years younger, aren't you?
What's 3 among so many?
Johnny, draw the tabs and rehearse some of the lighting cues during the break, will you? Miss Fishlock, would you come to my room for a moment? I want to take some notes on the Winter's Tale. Spear carriers. Would you come here, you two? Just say, Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Now you.
Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Right, you'll do it.
You mean I'm going to have a line to say, Mr. Gosport?
Yes. Now, I'll rehearse you in a few minutes. Miss Fishlock, would you get in touch with the London office at once and inform Mr. Wilmot that the 6 girls he sent up specially for the Winter's Tale are quite out of the question?
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
Oh, Mr. Gosport. Oh, bad luck, Cyril.
I bet it was because you picked up his gloves at the station on Friday.
Mum! I've got a part! It's only a line, but it's awfully important. Yes, isn't it wonderful?
Who are you talking to?
Oh, Mr. Wakefield, I didn't see you. It's only my mother. She's up there.
Then I'm afraid you must ask her to go. You know the rules about strangers in front at rehearsal.
Oh, but can't she stay and hear me speak my line?
No, I'm afraid not. She'll have to come back at 7:30 when we start.
But she has to get back to Birmingham tonight. She only came for the day.
I'm extremely sorry, but rules are rules, and Mr. and Mrs. Gosport are very strict about this particular one. She shouldn't be here at all.
What the hell does he want me for?
The duel.
Oh my God, not again. I'm slipping across to Feathers for a quick one. Do you think I've got time?
Yes, Mr. Ingram, I'll warn you.
Here, there's a baby and a pram in the wings. Is that a prop?
Not unless they've considerably rewritten the play. Is it alive?
Oh, I don't know. I'll just see. Yes, it's alive. What shall I do with it?
I suppose you'd better leave it there. Presumably it belongs to someone. My God, what with mums in the front and babies in the wings, it's not so much a dress rehearsal as an open day. Yes, what do
Speak to
you
my dad,
want?
please.
And who may your dad be?
He's an actor.
I'm afraid you come to the wrong theatre. Try the Palace of Varieties across the street.
Good evening, Mr. Wakefield.
Good evening, Mr. Burton.
I hope you find our theatre to your satisfaction.
How are our bookings?
Oh, not bad. Not that bad, considering what the show is.
Look here, I'm sure it's this theatre.
No, my dear, the Palace is what you want, through that door, up the stairs and into the street. Here's Mr. Gosport. This is Mr. Burton, sir, the theatre manager.
How do you do? My wife and I are simply thrilled to be opening in your beautiful theatre in this town.
Thank you, Mr. Gosport, and I can assure you it's a great honour for us all to have you both up here.
Well, thank you. As a matter of fact, you've always been very kind to us here in Sheffield.
It's next week you're playing Sheffield, Mr. Gosport.
What is this town then?
Brackley.
Oh, yes, of course. They added a week, did they? Brackley. Of course it is. Brackley. Good Lord.
What's the matter?
I was just remembering something. Brackley. Good heavens.
Is anything wrong, Mr. Gosport?
Tell me, Mr. Is there a square place in your town with a perfectly repulsive building and a glazed brick with a ridiculous dome on top?
The Civic Centre?
Oh, yes. And then dead opposite, is there an enormous white concrete and glass object that looks just like a public lavatory?
The Civic Library, Mr. Gosport.
Do you know this town then, Mr. Gosport?
Yes, only too well, only too well. I was here as a boy in the repertory.
Exactly where you're here, Mr. Gosport. Could you pin down to a definite date? I ought to ring up the Argus about this.
Well, let me see now. Yes, I can tell you exactly. Yeah, it was the year Gladys Cooper opened in The Sign of the Door.
I'm afraid I don't remember that, Mr. Gosport. Do you?
No. I suppose you can remember anything else that happened that year? A war or something like that?
No, I don't think there was a war. Wait a moment. I do remember something that happened that year. There was some sort of commotion.
A commotion? An earthquake?
No. Something to do with trains. They didn't run. And newspapers, too. There weren't any notices. And then I was made to drive a tram for some reason.
1926, the general strike.
Thank you. That's right. That's what it was called, the general strike.
1926.
Excuse me, I must get a cup of tea before I look at 6 girls. Yes.
Claimed, isn't he?
I doubt you can scatter a void.
I thought he was supposed to be an intellectual sort of chap.
He's an actor, Mr. Burton.
Right. Now, perhaps you wouldn't mind giving me a bit more dope on the Gospels for the Argus.
All right, but very quickly, I've got 100 things to do.
Well, how long have they been married?
15 years.
Any children?
1, little Basil.
And how old is little Basil?
13.
Here with him?
At school.
Going to be an actor too?
Judging by his behaviour, yes. Besides, he's a Gosport.
I see. And now, how would you describe these Gosports? Would we offend anyone if we called them the most famous married couple in the theatre?
You wouldn't offend the Gosports, Mr. Burton, which is the main thing. Besides, it's reasonably true.
They always act together, don't they?
Yes.
Always as husband and wife?
No, usually as lover and mistress. The audience prefers that. It gives them such a cosy feeling to know they're really married after all.
Now, about this tour, how long is it?
16 weeks out, then London.
I see. What after that?
Belgrade, Bucharest, Warsaw, Riga, and Moscow.
What plays are they taking?
Romeo, The Winter's Tale, Macbeth, and a modern play in verse called Follow the Leviathan to My Father's Grave.
What's that about?
Here's Mr. Gosport, he'll tell you.
What's the new play about, Mr. Gosport?
Oh, death. My wife's got the best part in it. I only play the pencil sharpener in the last act.
Well, perhaps he'll tell more about it to the Argus critic.
I doubt it.
There's a baby here on the wings. It looks exactly like someone I know. Who is it?
I have no idea, I'm afraid.
Very careless of people leaving babies on the wings. There might be a very nasty accident. Somebody might trip over and ruin their exit. See that it's removed before rehearsal.
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
And in future, if people bring babies to the theatre, see they're kept in their proper place.
Yes, Mr. Gosport. Where is that?
But I don't know.
Well, if there's any more help I can give you, Mr. Burton.
No, thanks. I think that's all. It only remains for me to wish you a very successful opening, which I'm sure you'll have.
Thank you very much. Madam, will you kindly leave this theatre?
No, I won't. I've told you, I want to see my dad.
And I've told you your dad isn't here.
Oh, yes, he is. He's not at the palace like you said. He's here. I've seen his name on the posters.
Well, you can't see him now. Anyway, who is your dad?
Gosport is the name.
Gosport?
Yes, Arthur Gosport. He's an actor.
Oh, I see. So you're the daughter of Arthur Gosport, are you?
Yes, that's right.
I'm most delighted to meet you. I simply can't apologize enough for having been so very rude. Oh, Johnny, this lady is Mr. Gosport's daughter. Would you be so kind as to look after her? Just show her around, would you?
Okay, Mr. Wakefield.
Now, Miss Gosport.
Mrs. Palmer.
I do beg your pardon, Mrs. Palmer. Now, if you would be so very kind as to step through that door there and down the steps, you'll find such a nice gentleman who's going to take such very good care of you.
Thanks. You're a pal.
All right.
I'll lock her and the baby in the room downstairs. There's 6 other girls there waiting for someone.
I wonder whose daughters they are. Okay, Johnny, thanks.
Mr. Wakefield, do you think it ought to be Faith? We may put up our pipes and be gone, or Faith? We may put up our pipes and be gone.
What about Faith? We may put up our pipes and be gone.
That doesn't sound quite right to me.
Sounds awfully right to me. What happened to your mum?
Oh, she's gone.
That's very lucky for her.
Faith, we may put our pipes and be gone.
Look, old chap, do you mind awfully and going and doing that somewhere else? I've got other things on my mind.
Sorry, Mr. Wakefield. This is my great chance, you know, and I don't want to muck it up. That's it. I know. Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Now, what about those girls for Winter's Tale? Are they here?
I think so.
I'd better see them straight away. Have them in one by one. Would you? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Gosport. Johnny, are the girls here for Winter's Tale?
Yes, 7 of them.
That's right, Mr. Gosport. We'll see them now, separately.
Okay.
How do you like the pot here, Jack?
Much better.
No, I don't think so. I like it there very much. Yeah. And now, I thought of an entirely new way of dying.
Have you, darling? How exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Gosport, are you ready for me yet?
No, in a minute. I'm seeing some girls first. Just wait there. All right, Jack. Ready for the Winter's Tale?
All right, Johnny. Send the first lady on, will you?
Okay.
Oh, what's the lady's name, please?
Muriel Palmer.
Muriel Palmer.
Yes, that's my dad. Daddy, I'm your daughter, and you're my dad.
What text are you using, Mr.
Excuse me, Mr. Gosport, but I know about this young lady. She's been annoying us all evening. How did you get out of that room?
Someone came in and locked us and told me and 6 other girls to come on stage separately as Mr. Gosport was waiting for us.
Oh, God. All right. Well, now, are you going to go quietly, or shall I have to ring up the police?
Ring up the police? I haven't done anything wrong. I just want a few words with my dad. That's all. That's my dad. I recognise him from Mum's picture on the piano.
All right. Johnny, ring up the police station and ask them to send a man around. We're having trouble.
Do I understand this lady claims I'm her father?
Your name is Gosport, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I thought Gosport. Oh, yes.
But I'm your daughter, Muriel. You've never seen me because I was born after you left Mum. And I brought someone else along, but I thought you might like to meet.
Just a minute. You mentioned just now a character called Mum. Could you be more explicit, please? Where did this Mum person live?
Same old place, number 21, Upper Brecon Road.
Oh, opposite a puce rectangular building with a notice board outside saying, "Thy days are numbered."
That's right, the Baptist Chapel.
And is your mum's name Florence?
Flossie, that's right.
Flossie? Oh, no, it can't be.
Oh, yes, it is, Dad.
Arthur, you can't mean this.
Oh, yes, it's true. I know it now. You've only need to look at her face to see it. The living image of her dreadful mother.
Really? That's a nice way to talk, I must say.
Look, Mr. Gosport, as we've never seen the lady's dreadful mother, perhaps there's some other way we could test her story. When were you born?
January 15th, 1927.
When did you last see Flossie?
No, don't cross-examine me. I don't know. I can only tell you I'm absolutely convinced of the truth of this girl's statement. This is my daughter, Mabel.
Muriel, Mew for short.
My daughter, Muriel, Mew for short. Well, look, why are you here? What do you want?
Want? I don't want anything. Just to say hello, that's all. It seemed silly being in the same town and for us not even to meet each other. Mum didn't want me to come, but I thought Dad would be interested to see what I look like. Besides, I've got such a nice little surprise for you.
My grandson?
That's right. Dad, come have a look.
It looks like Sir Herbert Beerbohm Tree.
No, darling. The terrible thing is, it looks awfully like you.
Don't say that, Edna.
Yes, he's the image of his grandpa, isn't he? The ickle chickle witty boo. Go on, Grandpa, tickle his little tummy.
I refuse to tickle his little tummy.
How old is it?
5 months. You're Edna Selby, aren't you?
Yes.
I saw you in Shakespeare once in Birmingham. You were the Queen, weren't you, when Mr. Gosport was Hamlet?
I have played it, yes.
Well, then in a sort of way, that makes you our little Ted's great-grandma, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. Not in any sort of way, and please don't say it does. Arthur, how could you?
I am not responsible for Ted.
But you are responsible for Mew.
I was a mere boy, a mere wild, hot-headed, irresponsible, passionate boy. Romeo of 17.
And your Juliet was Flossie.
She was my landlady's daughter. I loved her for a time with all my heart and mind. Of course, it had to end, as all such mad, youthful follies must.
It didn't have to end in this. Oh, Arthur, it's not in my nature to reproach you for what is past and done, but I do think you've been terribly, terribly foolhardy.
I didn't appreciate him then. Come along, my icky-wicky chickaboo. Come along, then. Say ta-ta for now, Granddaddy.
Oh, God, Edna, what am I to do?
Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Jack, what am I to do?
Well, Mr. Gosport, they haven't bothered you at all for 20 years. I don't see any reason why they should in the future.
Yes, but that child, oh, God, my grandson.
Never mind, my darling. These things happen to all of us.
Well, why, when I'm playing Romeo of all parts? I mean, why couldn't it have turned up when I was playing Lear?
That's life, my darling.
Of course, we shall have to cancel the performance now.
Look, Mr. Gosport, I really don't think you'll find it necessary to do that.
Oh, how can I play a boy of 17 with a grandson in the wings mocking me with that repulsive leer of his every time I go on?
Because it won't be in the wings. First thing tomorrow morning, I shall go and see Mrs. Palmer's mother. I'd better have her address again.
The 21 Upper Brecon Road.
Thank you. And what is her name?
Flossie.
I know, I meant her surname.
Gosport, I suppose.
Gosport.
What an odd coincidence.
Mr. Gosport, did you marry Flossie?
Oh, yes, she made a rather a point of it, I remember.
Arthur, you mean your daughter isn't illegitimate?
Oh, no, she's perfectly legitimate, I think.
Well, really? Of course, that puts an entirely different complexion on the whole thing. It's going to make me look very silly if this gets out.
Well, it all happened such a long time ago, darling. I really didn't see why I should bother you with a whole rather sordid story.
Mr. Gosport, when did you divorce your first wife?
Well, let me see now. I left her to take a part in a revival of Charlie's Aunt at Barnes.
I said, when did you divorce her? This is rather important. You did divorce her, didn't you?
Oh, yes, of course I did, my dear fellow. I perfectly remember. There was a solicitor, I know that, with a lot of documents to sign.
Mr. Goswell, one solicitor and a lot of documents don't make a divorce, you know.
Dad, just having a look around the stage. Don't mind, do you?
Mrs. Palmer, if I ask you a straight question, will you please give me a straight answer?
All right, fire away.
Is your mother divorced?
Divorced? Mum? Of course not.
Thank you. That's what I had already gathered.
Mind you, she's often thought about divorcing Dad, but somehow never got round to doing it. Not that she's got a good word to say for him, mind you. She says he was the laziest, pottiest, most selfish chap she's ever come across in all her life. You mark my words, no, she used to say. If your dad doesn't end up his days in jail, then my name's not Jessie Gosport.
Your mother, Mrs. Palmer, is plainly a remarkable prophetess. Would you mind returning to number 21 Brecon Road, as I have a rather important little matter to discuss with your dad, who will be getting in touch with you in due course.
Okay, well, ta-ta for now, Dad.
Ta-ta, and I will arrange for 3 complimentary seats to be left in your name for the Thursday matinee.
Thanks a million, Dad.
Darling, I must say it looks as if you've been very, very careless.
But darling, there must be some hideous mistake. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. Jack, you must fix it.
Mr. Gosford, Miss Selby, I'm afraid this is something that not even I can fix. You must face, both of you, a very unpleasant fact. You are bigamously married.
Miss Fishlock?
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
Come here a moment, would you? Miss Fishlock, it appears that my wife and I have committed bigamy. Now, you better ring up the London office at once and inform Mr. Wilmot.
Yes, Mr. Gosport. What did you say you and your wife have committed?
Bigamy.
Oh. Yes, Mr. Gosport.
Silly word, isn't it? It sounds almost as if Arthur and I had committed a serious crime.
I hate to alarm you, Miss Selby, but that is exactly what Mr. Gosport has committed.
You mean I might have to pay a fine or something like that?
Miss Fishlock, do you happen to know the maximum penalty for bigamy?
What is it, Miss Fishlock?
Imprisonment for life.
And does that apply to me too, Miss Fishlock?
No, Miss Selby, you haven't committed any crime. Only Mr. Gosport.
But they wouldn't separate us.
I'm afraid they would, Miss Selby.
Oh, no, they wouldn't. They couldn't. If Arthur has to go to prison, then I shall go too.
I doubt if that is allowed, Miss Selby. Is it, Miss Fishlock?
No, Mr. Wakefield. I don't know of any prison where convicts are allowed to take their wives with them.
Miss Fishlock? Miss Fishlock?
Oh, my darling, I won't let them take you from me. I won't.
Darling, there's nothing at all to get so worked up about. I'll make a public apology, divorce Flossie properly, and marry you again.
That would be such horrible publicity.
The Arts Council will fix that. Now, let's waste any more time. Now, we've got to get to work. I'll do your line now, yes. Darling, do you mind taking up your position in the potion scene after you've drunk the potion?
My God, how much did you hear of all that?
Oh, that's all right, Mr. Wakefield. I'm not a tattletale. Wish me luck, Mr. Wakefield. This is my great chance.
Right, Mr. We're ready for you. Now, I'll give you your cue.
Thanks, Mr. Gosport.
Now, leave a 5-second pause. Come on. Look down at the bed and see what you take to be a dead body. Now, I want to get from your expression that you realize this girl whose wedding you have been hired to play has taken her life, presumably because she couldn't face her marriage with Paris, and that she died for love of another. Your face should express understanding of the undying conflict between spiritual love and this gross, mundane world. Well, if you can't do that, just look sad. Then turn and say your line to your fellow musicians, who we presume to be off stage there. Understand?
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
All right, go off, Jack. Music. The heavens do lower upon us with a mew. Move them no more by crossing their high beam.
Faith, we must put our pipes on and be gone.
What? Oh, Mr. You've come back.
I just felt I couldn't desert you both in your hour of great affliction.
Oh my God, how did you hear about it?
I was in the feathers and a chap in the company came in and told us how Mr. and Mrs. Gosport were likely to get a life sentence for bigamy.
Oh God, the news must be half over Brackley by now.
Don't worry, Jack. The company I know will stand by us. Mr. Chudley, it was very naughty of you to leave us so suddenly, but I think I know what was the matter. We all of us suffer from the occasional crise de nerfs.
Crise de what?
Nerves, Mr. Chudley, nerves. Now come with me and I'll make you a nice strong cup of tea.
Mr. Gosport?
Oh, yes?
Do you want me anymore?
What? Oh, no, thank you.
You couldn't let me have another line to say sometime, could you?
I'll keep you in mind.
Thanks, Mr. Gosport.
Too late. It's out of the feathers and into the green horse. They've all heard it.
Mr. Wakefield?
Yes?
Do you think I should give up the theatre?
Why ask me?
You know so much about life.
What has life got to do with the theatre?
It's an awful shame about that line. It came at such an important time with Miss Selby and Dame Maudon, and after a pause with the chance for face acting. The London critics might have noticed me.
I rather doubt that. The potion scene comes very soon after the interval.
Well, cheery bye.
Cheery bye.
What is this terrible news?
Oh, Dame Maud, have you been to the feathers?
Oh, I just looked in for a little refreshment and heard this abominable slander. Jack, have some pity on an old lady and tell me it is not true.
I'm afraid it is true, but Dame Maud.
Oh, I see.
Oh, God.
You Mr. Wakefield?
That's right, yes. I'm Mr. Wakefield, officer. Yes, that's quite correct.
I understand you want assistance.
Assistance?
One of your chaps rang up to say you were having bother at the theatre.
Oh, that! Oh, yes, of course. I've forgotten. Well. Just fancy you're taking all that trouble to come round here. I do think that's good of you, officer. But as a matter of fact, it was all a mistake, an utter misunderstanding.
You're not having any bother.
No bother in the world, not a trace of bother. Everything's quite perfect.
But I don't know what you're doing wasting our time.
Oh, my dear old chap, I can't tell you how sorry I am about that. It's awful to think of you walking all that way from the police station on a wild goose chase. Look, make yourself comfortable. My dear fellow, can I get you a drink? A nice large drink? What would you like? A whiskey? Yes, I thought you would. Now you stay there. Don't move, will you? There are all sorts of dangerous contraptions in a theatre, and you might hurt yourself, and that'd be dreadful. Just sit there and relax, and I'll dash and get you an enormous zonk of whiskey.
Oh.
Quick! There's an old lady having a fainting fit.
What? Oh, it's only Dame Maud. Oh, Lord, I suppose she saw you. I mean, she goes on at the slightest thing, you know. Johnny, come here quick. Give me a hand with Dame Maud.
To queer, is she?
Just one of her dizzy spells.
I'd better lend a hand. I know me first aid.
Oh, no, please don't bother. You really mustn't trouble yourself, officer. It's nothing at all. She's always doing this. She's over 100, you know, poor old thing.
Oh, give me a drink, for God's sake.
Jack, are we doing the farewell? Oh. Well, Constable, I only want to say one thing. In 15 years, my husband and I have never spent a single night apart.
That's so, Mum. Fancy.
Not one. If we were separated, I think I should die.
Would you indeed, Mum?
I want you to know that nothing can keep us apart. If you take him, you must take me too.
I see, Mum. I'll bear that in mind.
Miss Selby, Dame Maud has been taken a bit faint. She's calling for you urgently.
What can that matter now? I've been telling the constable.
Isn't it nice of the constable to come dashing round just because he heard we were having a little trouble at the theatre, especially when we're not having any trouble at all, are we?
I see. Oh, I see. Constable. Dear Constable. Perhaps you'd better forget what I said just now.
Mum, I'm sure.
Just a little secret between the two of us, eh? What a beautiful line of the neck the constable has, hasn't he, Jack?
Beautiful.
Here I say.
Goodbye, Constable. And thank you for your great, great kindness to us all. I shall never forget it.
Edna Selby, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, officer. And you mustn't, pay too much attention to anything she might have said to you. She's suffering from the most terrible first night nerves.
Is that the way it takes them?
Nearly always. Now, if you've quite finished your drink, I'd better escort you out.
Oh, thanks, I can find my own way out.
Oh, well, it's rather complicated, and I wouldn't like you to be bothered by any of the other actors.
Are they all suffering from first night nerves then?
Oh, nearly all of them. Come along, officer. I'll just clear a way for you.
I almost forgot my helmet.
Well, really, Inspector. Well, this is too much. I do think you might have waited until after the performance.
Well, Mr. Gosport, I've got my work to do, you see.
What, my dear Inspector, you mustn't listen to a word my wife says. I can assure you we're divorced. There's no doubt at all about it.
Is that so, sir? I've no idea.
And anyway, we haven't spoken a single word to each other since the general strike.
Well, that's too bad, sir. Your wife gave me to understand quite different.
But of course she would, my dear fellow. She's out for publicity, I suppose. But I will tell you something else, my dear chap. I'm not at all sure that child is really mine.
My God! Officer, come this way, please. But please come this way. You mustn't pay any attention to him either, least of all to him.
Last night nerves too.
Far worse than that. He's completely off his rocker. It's terribly, terribly sad.
Oh, no. But he can still act.
Yes, he can still act. That's all he can do. Come along, officer, please.
Give me the lighting for the farewell, please, Johnny. All right. Yeah. Come, death, and farewell. Juliet wills it so. How is it, my soul? Let's talk. It is not today.
It is. Hie hence, be gone away. Oh, now be gone. More light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes.
Mr. Gosport, Miss Selby, I know you'll forgive me for interrupting you. I have important news.
Yes, Miss Fishlock?
I got through to Mr. Wilmot and gave him your message. He was most calm, most kind, most helpful, and most reassuring. He says you are no account to worry yourselves about this matter. He says he happens to know there can be no danger whatever of what we feared.
I knew it.
He says it will probably be necessary for Miss Selby to sign a document saying that at the time she married you, Mr. Gosport, she was aware that you and your wife were already married. That, of course, would have to the effect of making your second marriage null and void.
Oh, well, that's splendid.
There can therefore be no question of you having committed any offense in law. He went on to say that there should be little difficulty in you getting a divorce from this other person. Then afterwards, should you and Miss Selby still wish it, you could get married again. Only not publicly, of course, and that, of course, would settle the entire problem once and for all.
Oh, thank you, Miss Fishlock. You've done extremely well.
I knew you'd both be
grateful.
pleased. Oh, Mr. Gosport, I am so glad. I really am. I do congratulate you, and you too, Miss Selby.
Thank you, Miss Fishlock.
Thank you, Miss Fishlock.
Arthur, don't you think you ought to say a few words to the company? I know they'll be overjoyed at the news.
Oh, very well. Jack, symbol the company, would you?
They're mostly in front already, Mr. Gosport. Remain in your seats down there, please.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, with regard to this subject of bigamy, the danger point is past. I am sure you will be delighted to hear that Mr. Wilmot has discovered a way by which my marriage to Miss Selby can be rendered entirely illegal. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks also to Miss Fishlock, who, as usual, has had to do most of the donkey work and has done it, as always, far, far better than anyone would ever expect. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, to yourselves, for the great loyalty you have shown in this moment of crisis to my wife, that is to say, Miss Selby and myself, 1,000 thanks. And one other thing, I am not a difficult man in the theatre, as you know, but I would like to have it perfectly clear that I consider a very great deal of time has been wasted during this break for tea. Please see it that it doesn't occur again. And now, back to work. Now, let's just finish the climb down from the balcony, my dear.
Yes.
Farewell, farewell. One kiss and I'll descend.
Art thou gone so? Oh, Arthur, I've just thought of something quite dreadful.
What?
Little Basil.
Little Basil? Oh, Miss Fishlock.
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
Miss Fishlock, ring up Mr. Wilmot immediately and inform him that he appears to have made little Basil into a little bastard.
Yes, Mr. Gosport.
Once more, there's far too much light in this scene. Don't you agree, dear?
Yes, I do, especially on the balcony.
Jack, There's too much light from here and too much down there.
You can't get the lights much lower than this, Mr. Gosport, or they'll go out altogether.
Nonsense, my dear fellow. Now, are we all here? I just want to do the duel.
As you've stopped, my dear, I thought you wouldn't mind if I gave you another teeny little hint.
Not just now, Auntie Maud, do you mind? Perhaps tomorrow.
Tomorrow will be far too late.
There's still too much light on the balcony, Jack.
Bring it down more. Well, it'll never stand it, Miss Selby.
I'm sure it will. The lights never let us down.
Let's start, shall we? Now, Tybalt, take the villain back again, that thou late thou gavest me, for Mercutio's soul is but a little way above our heads, staying for thine to keep him company. Staying for thine to keep him company, either thou or I both must go with him.
Thou wretched boy that didst consort him here, shalt with him hence.
This shall determine that.
What? Art thou drowned amongst those heartless hinds? Turn thee and look upon thy death.
Jack, dear, there's still too much light on the balcony.
If you take the lights down more than this, Miss Selby, they'll fuse.
Let them fuse.
And this duel is getting very sloppy. Let's go back.
There's still too much light, Jack.
Yes, Miss Selby. Take it down more, Will. And try those thunder and lightning cues. Cues 2, 3, and 4. My God, they've fused.
House lights! House lights!
If those lights out, it's 7:30. There's an audience in front. Look!
Cue lights. Cue opening music.
Mr. Gosport. Mr. Gosport! The audience is in front.
In Harlequinade, the part of Arthur Gosport was played by David Minton, Edna Gosport by Kelly Newman O'Connor, Jack by Ian Four, Dame Maud by Celeste Lucid Weiser, Muriel by Grace Sperber White, Miss Fishlock by Joy Weeks, Mr. Burton and the Policeman by Brad Sperber, Fred Ingram by Mark Jefferson, George Chudley by Robert Weiser, First Halberdier by Keith Anderson, and Johnny and the Second Halberdier by Langston Cotman. The production was edited by Liz Porter. Thank you for joining us tonight for the theater group's performance readings of Still Life and Harlequinade. As always, if you enjoyed the show and would like to see more theater group performances, please consider making a donation in whatever amount to luminastudio.org. We certainly appreciate all that you can do to support the treasure of live theater. Thank you again, and have a good evening.